most common questions we get asked by homeowners looking into renovating their home is how long will it take? And like many things home renovation, this is a really difficult question to answer, as each and every project has a unique set of objectives and challenges. And all of these things have an impact on how long a project will realistically take. Today's video explores why a full home renovation project takes longer than you think by breaking it down stage by stage so that you can realistically calculate how long your project might take. In case we haven't met before, my name is Sarah and I'm from the Reno. And I help homeowners just like you confidently start, navigate through and nail their home renovation project. Even if the closest thing you've ever been to renovating anything is binge watching all 16 or so seasons of The Block. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it. That way you'll be amongst the first to know when our videos drop each and every week. Today's video is a continuation of last week's video where we looked at how long you should realistically allow for your home renovation project and explored the different factors that could impact the length of your project. And we also shared two things many homeowners forget about that can seriously blow a renovation timeframe to bits. I'll pop a link to that video in the show notes so that if you haven't already watched it, check it out. Let's get to it and start breaking this down. And for your information, these timeframes really relate to a larger scale renovation project, so a big partial or a full renovation type project. We'll start at the very beginning when you decide to commit to your home renovation project. And for many of you, getting to this point may have taken months or even years. A critical factor in setting unrealistic expectations, and we spoke about this a bit last week, is that many homeowners think about their timeframes in terms of the time it'll take to build. Yet the reality is that before your builder can even start on site, and actually before you even talk to a builder, there are quite a few critical stages that need to occur. And if you want to do this project right, and these things can take as long to complete properly as it will take to actually construct your home. So to help you calculate how long your renovation project might take, I'm going to run through all the stages of a home renovation and share how long they might typically take. When you finally decide that you want to renovate your home and are committed to start, you'll enter what we call the research or the planning stage. This is where you start to do your homework. You're looking at and working out what you can afford to spend. You'll be thinking about the style and the type of renovation that you want to do. You'll no doubt be looking for inspiration by searching blogs and social media for ideas. And you'll be talking to other people who have renovated and started to build an idea in your head about what you actually want to do. So depending on how much pre-work you choose to do, you could take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months or more to complete this stage. Once you commit to your project, you need to find a designer or an architect. And making a great choice in this regard will require you to do some due diligence, like talk to them, check their references, and source some fee proposals. So allow a minimum of 2 to 4 weeks to do this well. Once you've engaged your designer, you enter the design stage. This stage is where you get your ideas out of your head and down onto paper in the form of sketches or plans. And depending on how many revisions you go through for your initial concept drawing and the scale of your project, it could take anywhere from a few months to 6 months or more to complete the entire design phase. So let's quickly just break the design phase down a bit more. So design starts with the concept design stage. This is where your architect or designer begins the creative process of designing your home or your home improvements. The aim here is to create an overall concept of your home in terms of its size and its layout, its location on the site, maximizing views and sunlight and style and aesthetics, things like that. So as a general rule, allow 2 to 4 weeks for the initial concept phase. Next, you'll need to review these plans and give feedback to your designer. And A time frame to complete this will depend on how proactive and decisive you are, but allow 1 to 2 weeks to complete this. Be aware that getting the concept stage right can take some back and forth and might require you to review a number of times, which could add time to your design time frame. Once you've signed off on the concept plan, it's back to the designer for the design development stage. This is where the concept design is further refined and preliminary council approved documents are produced. This part of the design phase is where you really dig into the details. Now that you have the basic idea right, you begin to refine them, looking not just what will be done, but how it might be done. You'll be looking at making material selections, including interior finishes and choosing products such as windows and doors and fixtures, that type of thing. You might be getting advice from other consultants like structural engineers and plumbing and electrical. And it's also a good idea to allow some time to get some cost estimates during this stage as it progresses. So allow absolute minimum 3 to 5 weeks for this. And allow an extra 1 to 2 weeks for review and feedback of these design development drawings. If you need to get development or planning approval, then add approximately 4 to 6 weeks for the drawing preparation, because generally councils require a lot of extra information to be submitted as part of your application. And these can include reports and other work done by consultants and can cover topics or assessments like bushfire and heritage and stormwater and erosion, even energy ratings, BASIX reports, shadow and solar access diagrams. The list goes on, but these things are specific to each project. So once your development application has been lodged, allow an extra 2 to 6 months or even more to get the application approved. Remember, this is where many homeowners underestimate their timelines. And just for the record, did you know it's actually possible to design to avoid a development approval in many instances? And it's always worth considering avoiding one if at all possible, because doing this will save you time and sometimes a lot of it, not to mention a lot of money. Right, next is selecting and assessing possible builders. This process can essentially begin at any time, but few builders will take you seriously until you have development approval. Allow about 3 to 6 weeks for this, but remember that you can start this process during the development application phase. A word of warning though, don't hurry this part. It's really important to choose a great builder. So take the time to talk to a few builders with the aim to send your tender drawings to a minimum of 3. Do your homework and your research to make the best possible choice. Once your development approval comes back, you may be required to tweak the drawing, so allow a week or 2, maybe more for that. And once that is done, it's time to prepare your drawings and your documents for tender. Builders like to tender off accurate and complete documents, and it's really important when tendering that the appropriate documents and specifications and other things are prepared to cover items like lighting and electrical plans, joinery, kitchen and bathroom layouts and details, all the material and finishes and fixtures and fittings, all of them resolved and selected before you go to tender. The more accurate and resolved the tender documents are, the more accurate your quote will be. Once again, a lot of this work can be started while you're waiting for your development approval, as long as there's only a small risk of refusal by council and the significant changes being required to the plans. Once this stage is complete, your drawings and supporting documents get sent to a number of builders for quotes as part of the tender process. When preparing tenders, builders need time to request prices from their trades and to review all the detailed documents and specifications. This process takes time, so allow minimum 4 weeks, but it could take as long as 6 weeks or longer to get all the tenders in. And remember, tendering over the holiday periods can often take longer because most trades take their holidays in late December and January. Once all the tenders are in, allow time to review the tenders and negotiate with the builders and engage your preferred builder and sign the contract. The time involved in this process depends largely on your choice of tenderers and the contents of the tender. Be thorough though and go through each tender with a fine-tooth comb. So allow a minimum of 2 to 4 weeks to complete the tender review and sign the contract. And once that's all sorted, you need to allow for getting your construction certificate or building approval depending on where you live. Once again, this process can start the minute you get your development approval, but it usually can't be finalised until you've actually selected your builder and their insurances have been checked. So getting a construction certificate or building approval is essentially an administrative project, although it can be more difficult depending on the conditions of a development application. So allow 2 to 4 weeks to realistically get that done. And it's only now that we've made it to the construction phase. So can you see how not being aware of or allowing for the planning and design phases can give you a ridiculously unrealistic idea about realistic timeframes for you to complete your project? Right, it's finally go time for construction of your dream home. But first you need to allow for your builder's lead time. To start, allow a minimum of 6 weeks, but it could take much, much longer. The time needed for the construction phase is hard to quantify as there are many factors that can impact it. So for now, we're going to use the rule of thumb we talked about in last week's video, which states that for every $80,000 of build spend, allow approximately 4 to 6 weeks of build time. I'll pop a link to that video in the show notes if you want to go back and watch it. I explained it in much more depth than I just did then. So there you have it, a typical timeframe breakdown of a home renovation project for a big partial or a full renovation project. Remember, this process is something that will impact your life each and every day for many years to come. So start off with realistic expectations about how long it'll take. It will be worth the time it takes, I promise you. I've put together a PDF version of this timeframe breakdown that you can download. So I'll pop a link in the show notes if you're interested. If you have any questions or topic suggestions, pop them in the comments below and we'll answer them as best we can. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this video valuable. Join us each and every week where I share renovation tips and tactics from my 25+ years in the industry. Until next week.